What is happening, guys? It's your main man, Matt, from the DFS 5-pack. I am not solo. I'm with my main man, brother from another mother, if you will. It's been too long. I think you guys know who he is. Say what's up. What's happening, my man?
What's up, guys? So, big part of wanting to get on here today, and we're just going to do members only, free to the public this week. Obviously, we've done a lot of like members only separately. Public has a lot of times been me solo, then it's been you solo the last couple of weeks. But we wanted to talk about, where I've been and where we're going. So, y'all know that, like, obviously, I've made a career move, and I have not been around as much, and we've just had so much trouble, like getting our schedules to match, that it was getting frustrated on both ends. I was busy when you were busy when I was busy. So essentially moving forward, like just think of Matt as the lead man of the 5-pack. I'm still around. A lot of my inputs behind the scenes. I'll be on videos occasionally, but not nearly as much. So we were just going through things like how we wanted to redistribute the financial side of things. We gave you a bigger piece of the pie, more responsibility, more money. So, just little stuff like that.
Yeah, a lot of stuff behind the scenes. Still wanted to make sure that everyone knew you were still alive and present and well, and still certainly part of the 5-pack, even if not as much. We are still on very good terms for everyone who is wondering. Nothing has changed in that regard. I'm excited to talk some sports with you. It's been way too long, as I was saying. It's weird. This is take two. You got me all flustered on the first video. I was so excited that I accidentally hit stop record instead of screen share. I will not make that same mistake again. Before I get into the NFL stuff, though, I got to shout out our promoters because they pay us. So I just told you, so you now know about it. If you sign up for Jazz Sports, you get a no-risk wager up to $1,000 on your first bet. That's $1,000 back if your first wager is graded a loss. You just can't beat that. I've wagered and bet across a ton of different sites throughout my life, and I've never seen a deal like that. So anyone who's interested in sports betting, who wants to sports bet more, I encourage you to check that out. And then Loose Lines is an affiliate of Jazz Sports. They're a site that offers really good lines and odds, reduced juice, and a ton of other perks. You also get an additional 50% off when you deposit there. So a lot of good deals going on. The links will be in the description section of the video. Please check that out. With that being said, that's pretty long-winded. I'm excited to talk this out with you, bro.
Let's do it, man. Let's screen share. I'll let you do it.
All right, I got it this time, I promise. All right, we should be good to go, right?
Yes, this will work.
All right, so I've been making these videos. I can't even remember now. I usually do game by game. Is that how we usually did it?
Yeah, let's do it. That's fine.
All right, Cool. So first game, we got a battle of the NFC least. Who do you think wins this game?
I don't have a strong opinion on that. I know for this game, there's one guy very much on my short list, and that would be Gibson.
Yeah, how could he not be right now, right?
He's so cheap for a guy getting like 30 touches a game lately, it seems like.
Literally 30. I mean, you got McKissick is questionable. Even if he plays, if he plays, it makes me like Gibson a little bit less. But yeah, what's not to like about Antonio Gibson? I'm with you 100% there.
It's an early game, so we'll know about J.D. McKissick. And if McKissick is out, it's lock city. If he's in, there's a couple good running backs in good spots. So I'll probably have to adjust from there. But he is very much on my short list. And outside of that, that's about it from this game for me. Not saying there aren't other guys who can play, Scary Terry and the Dallas wide receivers, blah, blah, blah. But it's really Gibson or bust more than anything.
Yeah, I agree. I still think Gibson's in play, even if McKissick plays. Obviously, I know you feel the same way, but I'm with you there. Like, he's a lock if McKissick's out. Still a very strong play if McKissick is in.
Yeah, he's currently rated as one of the highest owned running backs in the week. So just pay attention in cash games. But it's one of those things, if you like him, just play him.
Be high owned, but like you said, there's also really good running backs on this slate. And I'm also kind of with you, like, divisional battle. I don't expect a ton of points in this game. I think that this is not a game I want a ton of exposure to. Obviously, if Pollard's out, that makes me like Zeke more. He doesn't look.
The thing is, like, Zeke is so hurt too. Like, I was almost expecting Zeke to be out this week and Pollard to play. And then looking back on this the other day, I was like, okay, well, it looks like they flipped it around.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't really want to play Zeke, so I hope that Pollard's in. But I think Zeke's in play if Pollard's out. I'll say that. I don't think he's a lock, but I think he's in play.
All right, what do we got next?
We got Jacksonville and Tennessee. So this would be a get-right spot for the Titans. I think they lost that game in New England before the bye. Pretty sure maybe there was one after that. Yeah, they got killed by New England. Although that game was a lot closer than the score says. Got to think Tennessee gets right here. I was definitely looking at their running backs to start the week, but with Hilliard and Foreman like splitting the work. They're both like not expensive, but they're not cheap. I don't know. I'm not excited about really anything from this game. How about you?
I look at both of those guys as like deeper GPP plays for me because I don't know who's. I'm assuming they're going to ride the hot hand. They're going to split the touches. If somebody's playing well, they could get 2/3, and the other guy, if he's playing well, could get 2/3. So I wouldn't play them in a cash game. But on a week where there's plenty of running backs, in play, they're guys I could consider as deeper alternatives.
Sure. If I were making a bunch of lines like in the Millie Maker, I definitely have exposure. They both each had like really long runs last week. Crazy as this might sound, I think my favorite piece from this whole game, and he's not a must for me at all, is a cheap receiver from Jacksonville. Blast from the past, Laquan Treadwell, 3,400. He's been good recently. I wrote him up last week. Like, again, at 3,400, you're not looking for a ton. He hasn't scored. He's gotten 13 targets. Far from a must, but you could do worse at 3,400. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, there's the other tight end, too, for him, O'Shawn Hennessy. That's getting a little I won't use him because I got enough cheap pieces other places. I don't need to spend way down on tight end this week, but he's getting a little attention if anybody's interested.
I would use Treadwell over O'Shawn Hennessy, but not with like excitement. He sucks, O'Shaughnessy. So I will not.
Oh, sorry. I would go back to the other game, Washington. I would use Ricky Seals-Jones for a few hundred more. I forgot Logan Thomas is out. So Seals-Jones is a cheap tight end that's on my list.
Agreed. I am with you there 100%. I'd use Seals-Jones way over the guys from Jacksonville.
Even though I prefer saying O'Shawn Hennessy because that Key and Peele skit is like all time, I'd still would rather go with Ricky Seals-Jones.
Yes, it is. And I am with you. I'd also rather go with Ricky Seals-Jones. Starting off, though, two games I'm not overly interested in. This game, I don't know. Seattle's a tough nut to crack right now.
Seattle D is chalk. It's your cash game defense.
Seattle's D?
Yeah, they're chalk. They're cash game defense. They've played well recently. And I don't know if you know this or not. I don't know if you've gotten this deep into your research, but I really went down a rabbit hole this week, and it turns out the Texans are terrible.
The Texans are terrible. The Seahawks D is chalk. Man, I think Seattle's a fine D play here, like a fine play at defense, but I'm not like, in tournaments, I'd probably like to get away from
cash game lock. I'm not worried about fading them in tournaments in the slightest.
Yeah, I mean, I know Seattle got the win last week. A good win for them. I like them in that game, but they have not looked good at all. I mean, what are they? 3-7, 3-8?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're a little better than their record. Obviously,
sure.
They didn't have Russ for a while, but they're the worst team in their division, arguably, right?
Yeah, I think they are the worst team in their division. I would take San Fran ahead of them, and obviously the other two teams.
So I feel like it's possible to see like Russ or Metcalf or those guys get right this week, but I couldn't put them in my best lineup.
I definitely could see that too. I've kind of felt that way almost every week for different reasons since he's come back, though. Not necessarily just because of the matchup, just because it's Russell Wilson, and he hasn't done it. So I'm with you. If I were making a bunch of lines, I'd probably use some Wilson, Metcalf, etc. But like with so many games, it's hard to flag.
Yeah, Russell Wilson will not be my cash game quarterback. And even though his numbers weren't great last week, he did play a lot better. So the numbers could show up eventually. That's about it.
I mean, you got to think DK Metcalf, as talented he is, has a good game one of these games.
I will never talk bad about DK Metcalf. He scares me too much.
Yeah, he might be watching the video, so we can't talk bad about him.
Yeah.
And now we get to a game that I think has a lot of pieces in play. I'm sure you like this game a lot because what's not to like? How do you think this game is out?
This is a game that I would feel like I'd want to like. I'm not playing Mahomes. I'm not paying up for Kelsey. I might pay up for Tyreek Hill because I don't love wide receiver this week. But I mean, really, for me, like as far as the Kansas City offense, like they're just not the Kansas City offense right now. I don't think that's something that's permanent. I think Mahomes will eventually get back to being the dominant quarterback in the league, but they've given me very little reason to believe in him. That being said, the only game I did, they've given you to believe in him was against this Raiders team, which is bad.
Yeah, I'm also not going to play Mahomes here, though. Like, I don't think we see the same performance we saw against the Raiders in Vegas. I agree with you when you said, like, this is a game, like, from a 30,000-foot view that looks really appealing. But when you, like, really look at the pieces, the Chiefs are really expensive. So You got to
Josh
love.
Jacobs is a guy I could get on board with, though, especially in tournaments because he doesn't seem to be getting like a ton of attention.
I actually could see using both running backs in this game.
Okay.
Jacobs or Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Not that like I'm excited about Edwards-Helaire, but I think he could get 20 touches here in a game script where they're probably leading. Jacobs with Kenyon Drake out. I mean, yeah, yep. He's going to be heavily involved. Like
9 catches last week.
Yeah, I'm with it. I also think Vegas can keep this game close, so I like the Jacobs call a lot there.
I mean, how much when was the last time we watched Kansas City blow somebody out? Like last year?
I think it might have been. Did they blow out the Raiders on Sunday night, or was that game even close?
Wasn't that game competitive from the best of my memory?
I can't remember. I don't. 41-14, but I don't know if it was more competitive.
No, that's not competitive. Never mind.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they got right in that spot, but even since then, like their offense, you're right. Besides that game, has not been world beating at all.
And that again, we assume they're going to be throwing. Hunter Renfrow, he's pricey, but he's earned that price tag with no Darren Waller. Ruggs obviously is way gone into the past. No Kenyon Drake or anything like that. So Hunter Renfrow has been a beast lately.
He's been a beast, a target monster, a mini Cooper Cup, if you will.
Yep.
I do see Waller. Oh yeah, okay. Waller's still getting ownership love, but obviously that's wrong. He's out.
It hasn't been updated. They were really slow in updating ownership this week.
That sucks. Foster Moreau 4K, no thanks.
No, he was terrible at half that price.
Yeah, so I'm not going there. Anything else?
It's also Foster Moreau. He's O'Shawn Hennessy-esque.
Yeah, very much so. O'Shawn Hennessy might be better, which is sad.
Yeah.
You want to move on, or should we? Anything else you like?
Yeah, I'm good. Tyreek Hill is very, very much on my short list. I do not love wide receiver this week. Give me Hill over Stephon Diggs. Tyreek Hill's got. I mean, he might have arguably the greatest upside of any skill position player in the league every single week he goes out there. He's not as consistent as a Cooper Kupp this year, but like if you needed 50 points out of a wide receiver, who else would you take?
I would take Hill there. I agree with you there, but I disagree with you for giving you. I like Diggs over Hill this week.
Okay.
But it's not like I dislike Hill. I mean, Hill is Tyreek Hill, so always in play. I do like the Buffalo offense, though, and a lot of it is there aren't many offenses I like a lot on this slate.
Nope, I agree. All right, let's move on to the next game. We'll keep moving along.
Sweet. I got to sneeze, so talk for a second. New Orleans and the Jets.
Okay, so this is obviously not expected to be the most offensively, aesthetically pleasing game of the week. We know the Jets are terrible. New Orleans is down to, Taysom Hill. They are getting Alvin Kamara back this week. All that being said, the Jets are terrible. This game has one key player for me, and it's the chalky quarterback, Taysom Hill. When you run like that with your legs, when you're a threat to score every time you're inside the 5 with your legs, at that price point, Taysom Hill is good chance to be my cash game quarterback.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, there's nothing not to like about Taysom Hill. I also like other quarterbacks, and I mean, I understand why he's getting so much love. It makes a ton of sense.
There's 2 chalk quarterbacks this week, Taysom Hill and Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert doesn't have Keenan Allen, and Mike Williams hasn't practiced most of the week. So give me the guy in Taysom Hill who's going to run it in. He's cheaper. Justin Herbert's a stud, but no Keenan Allen hurts him to me.
Yeah, for me, it's either Taysom Hill or Josh Allen. I told you I like the Buffalo offense, so I'm with you. Definitely give me Hill over Herbert, like for sure there. I also think Kamara's in play.
I think he's an interesting play. I agree with you. He doesn't seem like he's getting a lot of attention, and you worry about his how he profiles in the passing game with Taysom Hill. But
sure, but then you see what
Kamara
did on Thursday, and you're like, okay, these stud running backs, like when they play, they can always have that upside.
Yeah, my God, were the Steelers' defense horrible in that first half. I mean, just didn't even look like they were trying. And Cook's a stud. I'm a Cook fan, but oh my God, were they pathetic.
The holes were so big for Cook. Like a lot of his 10 to 15 yard runs, they could have been he got tackled on the first guy that touched him. Like they were really good runs, but it's not like he was breaking tackles. He had a great game.
He was missing a shoulder.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that was a pathetic performance by Pittsburgh for sure. Anyone on the Jets you like?
I mean, they got, their depth chart is way down on the running back perspective. So I know Johnson maybe, but I'm not playing anybody from the Jets offense against New Orleans. Screw that.
Yeah, same. I think New Orleans' D is in play.
Amen. That would be the kind of GPP pivot off of the chalky Seahawks right there.
I wish they were a little bit cheaper, but I mean, it is what it is, right? They're not.
Dude, we got cheap guys everywhere though. So Hang up
Exactly.
on D this week is a great way to be contrarian. I got another defense I'm interested in too. We'll talk about in a little while.
Sweet. I love it. All right. Atlanta and Carolina.
Ooh, a couple of beastly teams right there. Next.
Yeah. I mean, is there anything? The one guy I'll say is like Cordero Patterson's having an awesome year. I'm not going out of my way for him, but he's a guy that I could play any given week just because he's having a really good year.
He's a stud. I respect Carolina's defense, which is one of the reasons he didn't make my short list. He's been a little less involved in the passing game, but I picked him up on all my year-long leagues, so he's been in my good side like all year long. I'm a big fan, and he looks the part when he's out there. But I will not be playing him in cash games this week.
DJ Moore would be my favorite piece of Carolina. Cam Newton still really likes him, and he's not expensive. But I'm with you. Overall, this is not a game I really want. But what's your take on DJ Moore?
I believe we have a term that we use. Meh.
Yeah, I like him more than you, but I have no arguments there.
Yep.
All right. All right, now we got my Brownies hosting the Ravens. The Browns favored here. So I like the Browns.
What's the weather like in Cleveland tomorrow?
What?
What's the weather like in Cleveland tomorrow?
Let me check it. I mean, it's pretty nice today. Like, not warm.
You guys might be getting the crap that we just got, though. So I don't know. I haven't looked at the weather report super close, and I try not to do that until later in the week anyways, because I feel like you just get caught up on it too early in the week.
It's 53 now. It doesn't look like tomorrow it's going to be colder, but like in the 40s. Like, doesn't look like it's supposed to be really bad weather at all. So
it's always a worry with Cleveland this time of the year.
Yeah.
I know you live there, so you know all about that.
And it's right on the lake, too, the stadium, even more so than where I live. And I live right on the lake. So, yeah, for sure. Before
what you got here is a slump quarterback and a quarterback in Baker who has just been working on like bionic arms and stuff like that because he's just so beat up.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people here are really souring on Baker. I know that he's hurt, but the Browns.
He is legit hurt, right? Like,
he is legit hurt for sure. Do you think the Browns win this game?
I think it's going to be close. I don't expect a lot of offense here.
The Ravens are just so beat up.
Yep.
I mean, all over. A lot of teams deal with injuries, but they've dealt with more than anyone in football, I think.
I feel like this game has like 16-13 written all over it to me.
Yeah, I'm really not interested in too many pieces of offense from this game. The one guy the two guys would be Chubb or Kareem Hunt because they're just going to get the ball a lot. But there's other running backs I like more. I'm just going to root for a Browns win here and probably not use much from a DFS perspective.
Agreed. It would be highly unlikely that anybody from this game enters my main lineup.
Yeah. I'm with you. All right, Giants and Chargers.
So this one's interesting. So Mike Williams is listed as the chalkiest wide receiver on the board. It sounds like he's going to be just fine to play in clear protocol, blah, blah, blah. So I get that in cash games. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to get too aggressive on this game. I don't like Eckler and Williams quite as much as the masses seem to.
Yeah, same. I think that the Chargers are getting a little bit too much love here. I loved them last week against Cincinnati. They almost blew that game. I like Eckler a lot more than Mike Williams. Like Eckler, I'll say this. I used him last week. He wasn't very good. He still got to 20. Like this guy gets there basically every single week. Obviously, there's exceptions, but he's my favorite piece of the Chargers. They just get him the rock. He's just really good. He'll be their best offensive player with Keenan Allen out.
Yep. I do think that's possible. You're going to get those cheap Chargers wide receivers that if you want to fade Mike Williams or Austin Eckler and roll with them and just hope they catch a touchdown, I think that's a very viable strategy.
The other thing I'll say is I never do this, but I bet the Chargers big last week. So I didn't even watch the red zone. I watched the Bengals Chargers. Herbert was amazing in the first half. Like awesome. He was not in the second half. And if he plays like that, none of these guys are going to get there. So I'm with you. Like I like kind of being under the field on Mike Williams in tournaments, maybe over the field on guys like Guyton. The problem is it's like, who's it going to be? Guyton, Palmer. I mean, even with Keenan Allen in, he spreads it out. I get the Herbert love. I don't think I'm going to have a ton of Chargers exposure here, and I certainly won't have a lot of Giants.
This is one that I'm going to check back in the morning. And if Mike Williams is like extreme chalk, I'll probably roll with him in cash games just for safety. Also, he's good. I know you're a big fan. And also, I don't love wide receiver this week. I didn't have like a love guy on any of the wide receivers. So I'll roll with the chalk and the cash games right there. And that way, if he disappoints, I can still be fine. I love the fade in tournaments.
Sorry, I had to sneeze. So I lost track of what you were saying for a second.
I was just saying, I'll probably roll with Williams in cash games. I'll check back on ownership tomorrow. And if he's high chalk like I expect, I'll go there. But I'll fade in more tournaments than I'll play him.
Yeah, like I get the love. He also just disappears a lot. Like he makes a ton of big plays. I mean, last week after the first 2 drives, I thought he was going to go ape shit. He had 2 40-yard catches. He ended up being fine. Like I'm not sure how much he benefits. Maybe if like the number 1 corner, they're all covering him. You know how that goes. And
yeah, he's not Keenan Allen. He's not the same guy. He's not even close.
No, he's just not. He's a more physical freak, but he's not nearly the actual receiver Keenan Allen is.
No, Keenan Allen plays like Devontae Adams, right? Like you just move him around and he's the focal point.
You know, Devontae Adams is the best route runner in football, a lot of people say it, and Keenan Allen's right behind him. You know what I mean? Those two are widely considered like the top 2. Like for me also, I do like the Buffalo-Tampa game a lot. So I don't feel like I need to go to this game at all. It doesn't sound like you like it maybe as much as I do, but that's where I'm gravitating towards. There isn't that much else I like. I like Josh Allen. I like the receivers there. They can't stop anyone either right now, so I like the Tampa pieces. That's where I'm gravitating towards. I like those guys a lot more than the Chargers guys.
All right, I find the next game interesting, so let's talk about that bad boy.
I do too. This game is real interesting. First off, you just kind of – well, what's up with Melvin Gordon?
He's questionable. If he's out, I love Williams.
Sure. Now I think, and it says it, they think he's going to play. I still like Williams, but people have been on Williams a lot, even before, like, oh, he's the better back. He is the better back, but when Gordon is in, they give Gordon touches. It's just what it is.
And the expensive defense I mentioned, I love Denver's defense this week. What's not to like? No Jamal Williams, no DeAndre Swift. You got no running game. I think Denver's gone 17 plus in 3 different home games this year. Gun to head, I think they're my favorite defense. And they're pretty good, right? Like, they're not great, but they're pretty good. You got Jared Goff in the road. Yeah.
Yeah, without their top 2 running backs, I'm all about that.
And Hawkinson's doubtful, too.
Oh, I love that call. I like the Saints a lot, too, just because it's the Jets. But it's basically the same situation here. Probably even a better spot on paper here because you're at home and everything you said.
This is one, too, where if I have the money, I might just play Denver defense in cash games and just hope that this is one, like Seattle goes for 7. They give you 17, and that 10 points just puts me in the money by itself.
I mean, I know Tyrod Taylor hasn't been great recently, but, like, give me Jared Goff on the road over Tyrod Taylor at home. Like, Denver's D is definitely better than Seattle's, in my opinion.
Sure. Yeah, no arguments here.
I don't think Denver has the greatest D in the world. Obviously, they traded Von Miller, but they still have really good pieces. Justin Simmons, Surtain is one of the best young corners in the league. I'm with that. Now, I have to ask, just because you mentioned no Williams, no Swift, any of these cheap Detroit running backs in play for you?
Nope. None. I don't even know who's going to get the ball that much.
That's the problem. I mean, if they come out and say, like, this guy's going to be our guy, it changes the story. But unless that happens, yeah, I can't get to Detroit.
Give me Jeff Wilson in the next game if I need a cheap running back. Yeah. That's an easy call for me.
So, but I will say, like, I don't really like that much from Denver in this game, though, unless Gordon's out.
No, it's Williams if Gordon is out. I love their defense. And then I do think, like, your Sutton, Judy, Fant, they're all in play, but I'm not probably going to use any of them.
Like, the problem with those guys is they're all fine. None of them is that much better than the other. And they don't have a quarterback that, like, Bridgewater is fine, but he's not, like, throwing for 400 yards. You know what I mean? So
I'm with you on that.
All right, cool. Moving on, San Fran and Cincy. Man, this is going to be a good game. I'll say that. Like, I don't know what is going to happen in this game. I have feelings on basically every other game. This game I could see playing a lot of different ways. 2 teams off bad losses last week. I think they're similar.
Let me rephrase that for you. This should be a good game because I never know what's happening in the NFL anymore. It's been so unpredictable this year, but it should be a good game.
Amen to that. Coming off a dud last week, 2 weeks ago, Kittle went absolutely nuts. If Debo's out, like, is he? Do you like him over Kelsey?
I do.
Okay, I have no arguments with that. I think I do too. Because when you see, you said earlier, like, you're not paying up for Kelsey, and I didn't ask them, but I was like, I'm not gonna say I love Kelsey, but there must be some other guy right in his range that you like more, and it's obviously Kittle now that we got to him.
I'd honestly almost rather buy Gronk.
Yeah, I have zero arguments with that either, man.
Like there's something like I don't know if he's hurt or if it's Mahomes' slump, but like Travis Kelce, he hasn't been the same guy this year. I mean, he's not scoring frequently because they're also not scoring frequently. I'm not saying he can't go bonkers this week because he's still the best tight end in the game. I'm not going out of my way to spend $7,200 on a tight end right now.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I like Kittle more. Do you like offense from this game in general?
No. I mean, I like Jeff Wilson now that we know that Mitchell's out because he's not going to be as viable in the passing game because they got their I'm drawing a blank right now, but they got their pass. Yeah, thank you. They got him back, but Jeff Wilson sub 5K, bell cow type of running back in the running game. I mean, that seems like a decent play.
He's not a very good NFL player, but you don't need him to be. He's fine.
You don't have to be that good to run for San Francisco, right?
Like, my biggest hesitation comes from the last time he started. Like, he was graded like by far the worst player on the field for the Niners, like when he was out there. So I was like, damn, like no wonder like he's not their main guy, but you don't need him to be their main guy every week. You just need him to be tomorrow. I'm with you. I don't think he's a lock, but he's right in that mix. He's so cheap. You talked about cheap guys all over the slate. And I don't know if Debo's going to play, but if he's out, I mean, it just means they're going to have to use Wilson more.
Ding, ding, ding. That is a big part of it. So I think this is one that you have to watch as closely. Remember, they've been using Debo a lot in the running game lately, and he's been really good.
He's been really good.
Debo's out? Yeah, if Debo's out, Debo's in. I might not get there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if McKissick's out and then Gibson becomes a lock, you only have some running backs you can play.
Yeah, for sure. Debo had been so good running the ball.
He's a stud. He's just a flat-out stud, period. So it's going to be tough too, guys. So you're going to have to navigate this late game right here because we don't know if we're going to know by the time lock starts. So that's something you have to have in your back pocket right now.
That's just the best way to put it. We don't know if we're going to know. That's just the truth. And I'll say
that. We might know in 2 hours, but who knows?
Yeah, I doubt it. I feel like it's going to be, we're not going to know tomorrow. But like you said, we have no idea when we're going to know. The nice thing for me is since I like a lot of this Buffalo-Tampa game, gives me luxury in that regard.
Yeah.
If Debo's out, I like Kittle and Wilson a lot. Anyone from Cincy you're digging on?
Not really. I respect the way San Francisco plays, so I'm not looking to, get to a healthy Cincinnati. Not saying that Burrow or Chase or whoever could do their thing. It's just they won't be in a main lineup.
I agree. Cincy is fine. If this were like a showdown state or something, I mean, obviously, like Cincy, it wouldn't be like, oh, they're in such a bad spot. But just with other really good spots on the slate, I'm with you. I won't be prioritizing them here. And now we get to probably my favorite game of the week. And like if I were building one lineup right now, I would have Allen, Diggs, Godwin, probably Gronk too. At least those four guys. I also like Fournette. I also like Beasley. I like this whole game. You finally get Buffalo going out of that shitty weather into Tampa. Tampa's pass D is not very good. Can't run on Tampa, and Buffalo hates running anyways. This is a perfect spot, in my opinion.
So this is an interesting game, and I think it plays out to how you play. Like you're a big believer in Buffalo this week, based on what's out here, and that makes sense. Buffalo is all over the place, right? They're one of the harder teams to predict in the league. I could see this game working a variety of ways, right? I could see it being very, very close and high scoring. I could see it being very close and low scoring, very much like a playoff type of atmosphere. I could see Tampa Bay rolling on Buffalo this week. And I could see Buffalo rolling on Tampa. I don't have a great feeling one way or the other. But if you ask me to go on a debate show and take any one of those four angles, I could come up with an arsenal of bullet points as to why that could play that way.
I'm not sure I could see Tampa, like Buffalo, blowing out Tampa here. But
Buffalo's so talented, though.
They are.
You're right. Out anybody.
Kansas City. So you're right. It's not like unfathomable. I mean, they're talented enough to do it. I like them a lot here. I think they win this game after that, bad performance on Monday night. But Tampa's also really good. I definitely could see it playing out like a defensive battle. I don't think it's some sort of lock. It's just my favorite game on the slate. There aren't that many games I love on this slate.
So I think what's interesting if you look at the Tampa guys is what is Buffalo's run defense right now? Because they've been embarrassed, right? Like 2 of the last 4 weeks. Jonathan Taylor, who's fantastic, went absolutely bonkers all over him. Last week, Mac Jones threw the ball -7 times. And, their numbers don't look good. A lot of that came on one Damian Harris run. So let's not pretend like they were terrible the entire game, but just through, not passing it in one long run, like it looked like they got absolutely thrashed by the run all game long. I don't know who their defense is. They've had a bunch of other good games where they were good against the run.
I do agree with you, though. It's not like they got destroyed last week. Like, they honestly should have won the game. Their D played fine except for the one long run. Now, Matt Jones didn't throw, so, I don't know who Buffalo's D is either. I mean, because there's a lot of teams in the league that are like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. They're the most.
Oh, God, yeah.
They roll New Orleans in New Orleans. They lose in Jacksonville. I don't know exactly what to expect from them. They beat Kansas City better than anyone's beat them this year. I expect a good game from Buffalo here. So I like all their pieces, and I don't think that their defense is going to stop Tom Brady. I like Gronk. Fournette has just been amazing. I mean, He's come out of nowhere to all of a sudden be like legit one of the best running backs in football.
Yeah, I mean, his PPR points alone give you a nice solid floor. No Antonio Brown, so that only helps, right? So I mean, there's a lot of pieces I can get on board with this game. My problem is like I don't have like a guaranteed clear path of who's going to be successful right here. I can see a multitude of different things working out right here. Whereas if like you go to, I'm trying to think of a good example of somebody that we've talked about already. I'm drawing blanks in all these earlier games.
Well, I guess like to your point, like Seattle, I know it's riskier. They have a much more defined target tree. If you use Seattle, Wilson, Lockett, and Metcalf, and Seattle scores 35 points, chances are you're getting there. But
I feel confident in Hunter Renfrow. Like I know he's going to get looks because I can't fathom Vegas like getting a big lead and like just running it. It could happen. But I could see using Hunter Renfrow because exactly he is the passing game. There's no Waller, there's no Ruggs, there's no Kenyon Drake.
Yeah, there's no way Vegas is just getting up big and just running. I mean, that's just not going to happen.
So like I trust Hunter Renfrow because of the necessity.
I do like the Vegas offense though, like just in general, because I think that they keep this game close, and they're now because they're missing bodies, no Drake, no Waller. That really makes Renfrow, obviously no Ruggs. That really makes Renfrow and Jacobs like the guys for them.
Well, and Renfrow runs everything out of the slot. That's the easiest passes to replicate. You know what I mean? Like there are some quarterbacks, my boy Aaron Rodgers, Mahomes when he's rolling, like they get outside the numbers, no problem. But literally every quarterback in the NFL can complete passes to slot wide receivers. They're just the easiest ones, and that's where he runs almost all of his patterns. So it's replicable stuff.
Yeah, I mean, wide receiver this week, you've talked about earlier how you don't like it. It's definitely the weakest wide receiver week we'll have all year. Because first off, not only is Keenan Allen out and Debo questionable, you got no Devontae and no Cooper Kupp. Those guys are both not on the slate. So
no Justin Jefferson. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of guys not playing in this one.
No Jefferson. No Deontay Johnson. Exactly.
Yep. Like Deontay Johnson, you can play almost every week, right? Like
he's
every single week. It's 8 for 70 or 6 for 60 and a touch.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if he were on this slate, I'd be looking hard at him here. Yeah, it is. That's exactly why I'm getting drawn towards the Buffalo game because there just aren't that many spots I like. That's just what it is for me.
So I'll just give my quick cash game recap for everybody.
Please do.
Yeah, 95% sure I'm going to roll with Taysom Hill. From a running back perspective, we got the Jeff Wilson news that we'll be waiting on. Like Deebo Samuel does have a lot to do with that. Antonio Gibson is really high up on the priority list.
I mean, if McKissick plays, like who would you play over Gibson? Just curious.
I mean, Gibson's still really close to making the lineup.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. It sounds like to me you'd play Gibson no matter what. You just want McKissick to be out.
Yeah, well, also, but if like I find out Debo is out, then Jeff Wilson might be right up there depending on the rest of the build.
Okay, fair enough.
You know what I mean? So we got those guys. I don't love Austin Eckler quite as much as you, but he's very, very much on the short list right now. If we find out Melvin Gordon's out, which is not the expectation, you got that right there. So those are the guys I'm kind of looking at. And then I do like Jacobs. I love the fact that he had 9 catches last week. There is no Darren Waller because under any game script, even like the one that we said won't happen, if the Raiders got a lead, now they're just pounding Jacobs and he's very affordable.
Yeah, clearly with the 9 catches shows you in any game script. And yeah, I mean, if the Raiders are doing that, it's probably Jacobs is probably having he's a must play at that point. If the Raiders are playing from so far up in the hind, they're from in front, they're not throwing. I would venture to say Jacobs is one of the best plays of the week.
Definitely. As far as wide receivers go, I mentioned Tyreek Hill specifically because I don't love wide receiver this week, and I think there's a good chance I can have the money, especially if I fade Austin Eckler and I go like Mike Williams, Gibson, Jeff Wilson and stuff like that. I'm going to have plenty of money. It'll be really easy to get up to Wilson. I might go Ricky Seals-Jones at tight end, so it's another space I'm going to have money. I always got Seattle as an easy cash game defense. If I have the money, though, that's where I might just go off the beaten path a little bit and just go with Denver and hope Seattle doesn't get 2 pick sixes.
Nothing wrong with differentiating yourself in cash games a little bit if you really like a play, as you know.
Yeah, we used to clean up playing cash games back in the day by paying up for defense and quarterback when everybody else paid down, and we would bump ourselves up 25 points. You just had to get like one receiver right then.
I mean, it's Seattle's freaking D. Any D could do anything, but their D's not even good. So I'm with you.
That's it. Tight end. I like Gronk. I do think there's a good chance I do use Seals-Jones though. Right? I know Logan Thomas. He's out for a while. Seals-Jones, we saw when Thomas was out before and he was down in those mid-3s numbers, he was viable almost every single week.
Yeah, I also like Gronk. I also like Seals-Jones. I don't think Dawson Knox is crazy either. I know I like that game a lot more than you. Again, a little bit cheaper. Gronk's probably my favorite, though, as of right now, after Kittle, of course.
Gotcha. Anything else you want to?
No, that's all I got. I love making these videos with you, man, giving me a little bit blast from the past. Now that we got this stuff out, hopefully we can make some more this week because the videos never stop, as you know.
This is true. If you like Bellman's take, it's pretty simple. Look at the last game.
What do you mean?
Buffalo, Tampa.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. If you want my take on the slate, look at that last game. Amen to that. Obviously, I like a lot of the other plays we talked about. Cash games, I think Taysom Hill, Mike Williams are locks. Gibson as well. And Taysom Hill, man, it's hard to get away from him in any format. I'll say that.
Well, he's so cheap, and the Jets are awful, and running just is so much easier to score points than passing, right? I don't think he's
a great quarterback, but he's a very good fantasy quarterback, I think.
If I had to ask you on just his legs alone, if you were the house, where would you set the number of fantasy points he was going to give you on his legs alone? Because I think you got to at least be up into the double digits right there, right?
Wow. I was going to say 8. Because I was going to say 8, it would be the number. But that's a really hard, I don't know.
Right? Because then if he does score, you're guaranteed to lose. And I think he's 50-50 at least to run one in.
Well, even at 8, I think if the over-under for a quarterback is 8, he makes it a very strong play. If you think it's in the double digits, he's a lock.
Yeah, that's where I look at it. I think 11 is where I was at because I'm giving him 3.5 points from a touchdown, right? Because in my mind, I think it's just over 50% that he's going to run one in. And then I'd have to set the rushing yards around 70-ish in my mind.
So, yeah. I mean, that's it sounds like would you play him as a running back at 5,600?
Am I just getting his rushing yards?
Yes.
No, not at 5,600.
Okay. But he's still in play is the point. And he's also going to throw some because he's a quarterback.
And they do get Kamara back.
It's the thing. If they get up big, I'm not going to be surprised if he's throwing a little bit more to get him comfortable.
Yeah.
Not rubbing it in the face, but it's the freaking NFL. Teams don't mind running up the score because if you can't stop me, you can't stop me. Not that I'm saying the Saints offense is going to do that, but I could see him throwing more even if they're up big.
And during that deep research dive where I figured out the Texans are terrible, I also found out the Jets are terrible.
Yeah, there you go. So both those teams are very bad. I'll say Houston's a little bit worse only because the Jets beat them in Houston a couple weeks ago, but it's close.
Yeah, they're awful. It took me about 3 seconds to figure this one out because all you had to do is click on standings if you didn't already have it memorized.
Yeah. That's all I got, man. Anything else you got?
I'm good.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, guys. And hopefully we're on here together more in the future.
Amen.